What's good, everyone? This your main correspondent, Alan Taylor, and I'm back in the broadcast room. And this is where we at now. Clearly, you see the title of the broadcast. So this young man here is saying that he had a conversation with a older gentleman. I'm guessing Gen X, maybe, and a little bit older. So he's going to break some things down about the dynamics of what's going on in the 21st century and how men of yesteryear used to, the allegedly used to, be the sole providers of households and things like that. And in some cases, definitely this was true. But the thing of this is that in the 21st century, and the economy's changed, inflation is different, things like that. The motives of people are different when it comes to these relationships and also communities, whatever. Everything is just moving in a different direction, mentally, physically, and spiritually. So listen, look, people, we're going to see what this young man has to say. We're going to dive off into this. Let's go here now. Quarters, nickels, and dimes, people.
So I got into a heated debate with an older gentleman today, talking about provider men, what men should provide in a relationship for a significant other, this, that, and the third. He's 60 years old, right? Him and his wife have been married for numerous amount of years. And he explained to me, yeah, man, my wife has never had to touch a bill, this, that, and the third. And I was like, I get it, OG. I get it. But do you know what economy we're in right now? And he said, yeah, y'all young folks just ain't trying to make enough money. I'm like,
now, okay, this is where we at here. The thing of this is that, like he said, this older gentleman has been married to his wife. They're obviously in their 60s. So yeah, they've been married, but you could round about 40 years plus. The economy worked different, society was different, even people's morals were different back then.
What the French case is there to think about?
And that's a huge issue that a lot of people don't want to take in consideration in today's societies. People's morals and greed, and also things that they actually thought were tangible things to try to go after in life were different. Nowadays we have all these fictitious things that we want to go after. We're trying to keep up with the Joneses at a tremendous rate now. It's not like how it was back in the day. You had a few people that, because that's where the term come from back in the day with our elders, keeping up with the Joneses. It comes from them. So, we had a few people, of course, a few people back in the day would try to keep up with the Joneses. And basically what that term meant was you're trying to live beyond your means. So in today's society, the way that things are structured in the economy and money and everything, and people's lust for, I guess you would say better things, people are in today's society are more engaged with trying to keep up with the Joneses than they are actually trying to live a decent life, live within their budget and not well over their budget to try to keep up with everybody else.
Okay, well, how much money do you think these young folks need to make to provide for two people off of one income? He said 6 figures, $100,000. First of all, only 18% of Americans make $100,000 a year.
Right.
Everybody ain't touching 100,000, right? Let's just break down the necessities though. Let's say you make 100,000, right? Let's start with rent. I'm in here in Washington, rent for a 2-bedroom, $2,400. Let's multiply that times 12. Get your notepads out, man, and keep follow.
Okay, so before he breaks this down, the thing of this is, and yes, what I'm saying, we're actually talking about this scenario because this is the thing right here that's keeping a lot of us in the 21st century, financially struggling. Like we're keeping up with the Joneses, and that's a true term. Our elders back in the day didn't create that term for no reason. They knew what the hell they was talking about. A lot of people are trying to live beyond their means and stuff like that, and that's what's keeping them broke. And also too, that's what's keeping them, in a dysfunctional state. So the thing of this is what the elder man told him. Young men don't make enough money nowadays, and you need to make at least $100,000 or more, to provide for a single, income household. Now, at the same time, though, too, I do get it in some cases. Like I say, people are living beyond their means. If you make $100,000, you know what I'm saying, you don't have to live in a certain area that's, you're paying $3,500 a month for rent. But at the same time, though, too, I can look at, the facts of where some people have this mentality to where, the more they go down in, let's say, a mortgage or how much they pay for a home, the less of the neighborhood, the where things, are working nowadays. But if enough people that make enough money to that way, would gentrify a neighborhood, which, back in the day, a lot of people made decent money and they lived in, back in the day, it was called, they were just neighborhoods. Sorry, but I got to keep this real. We didn't start calling, definitely in the Black community, we didn't start calling these places hoods until, well after the late 90s, early 20th century. Before then, early 21st century. Before then, they were just, neighborhoods that, Black people lived in. You lived next to people that worked at the plant or worked at Yellow Freight, or you lived next to somebody that was a doctor or nurse, growing up, and I'm not talking about apartments that were government issued apartment complexes. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about these were normal neighborhoods back then. Growing up in my generation, I'm 42. These were normal neighborhoods that you had decent people live. They people that worked for the city, people that, Black people that did, what I'm saying, just were normal people, but they made decent salaries and they didn't, they lived in, the neighborhoods were nice. It's amazing to me what we've come to. Now, all of a sudden, these same neighborhoods are quote unquote hoods now. And man, this is sad, bro. So let's hear him break down this shit mathematically and see what's going on here.
$28,800, $2,400 a month for a year. Subtract that by 100,000, you got $71,200. All right. Next, we got two car notes. I'm just assuming average two $400 car notes. That's $800. Multiply that times 12, $9,600. Minus that times 71,000, you got $61,600. Right. Now we got two insurances. Right. I'm assuming they $300 a pop, $600 for both. Times that times 12, we got $7,200. We are now at $54,400. Right. Okay, 54. Now let's talk about groceries. $300 a month times 12, that's $3,600.
Okay.
Minus that times $54,400. We got $50,800 left. Right. I'm not including if people got kids, dates, any leisure activities, clothes.
Okay, but listen, look. And this is the thing here. With the math, he's wrong. With the math, he's wrong.
So what's the French toast is there to think about?
And I'm gonna tell you why he's wrong. And this is going to make common sense. With the math, he's wrong. If you're listening to me right now, he's wrong with the math. He started out like this. If you're making $100,000 a year, and then he went immediately to breaking it down to mortgage, rent, okay. Then he broke it down to, what was it? The car notes, stuff like 2 cars, car insurance, groceries, and then he started breaking it down to other amenities, leisure time, stuff like that, little things that you may want to buy for yourself personally, to, have, enjoy yourself in life, some shoes, whatever, it is what it is. But the reason why he's wrong with the math is because he didn't start out with the big picture. And what's the big picture, Alan? The big picture is he didn't start out deducting taxes from that $100,000 a year.
So what's the French toast is there to think about?
He didn't start out. So let's go here now. Let's say you only make $100,000 a year, base number. Deduct the taxes out of that $100,000 before you even see it on a paycheck. You're going to knock that $100,000 down to almost maybe right at 85,000, close to 90, somewhere in there. I'm just guesstimating, okay, people? I'm just guesstimating. And that's state and federal. So after that, you know what I'm saying? You know, you break that thing down, let's say just around ballpark of maybe 85,000. You know, don't truly quote me on that. I'm just throwing a ballpark out here. So when you're not at the $100,000 that you are actually on paper technically making. So to break that down, he went all the way down to maybe 50,000 with the mortgage, the car notes, the car insurance, you know what I'm saying? Food, groceries. And he only said this was for two people right now with one income household. And to break that down and things like that, you're not even thinking about the other amenities, you know, life insurance, a lot of other things and stuff like that. And I get where this young man is coming from right now. When the older gentleman told him that back in their day, and I guess, you know, the older gentleman had to be, you know, maybe a full-fledged adult in the late 60s, 70s, something like that. The economy was totally different. Jobs were totally different. You know what I'm saying? You could go work at the steel mill or whatever, things like that. You know, you had an abundance of jobs that actually provided good 401k plans and all other types of things back in the day. It was just different. You know, a lot of these jobs nowadays, they're maneuvering people around to where they barely want to even pay, you know, good health insurance for their employees. You know, that's the reason why they try to keep rotating things and stuff like that, because they found it more lucrative. The corporations and stuff found it more lucrative to, you know, maneuver people around to where they won't have to pay for these other amenities for a long-term employee that's going to be there 20, 30 years. You know, and this is just the case. You know, a lot of the older men and X and beyond stuff like that, they had these stable jobs for, you know, 20, 30 years. A lot of corporations and companies, and then you got AI kicking in now, all types of stuff. They're not trying to hold on to human beings for 20 and 30 years like that. They don't find that lucrative for the bottom line of whatever corporation it is. It doesn't matter, company, whatever. They don't find that lucrative for the bottom line for the company to win. And these are just the cases. So this single household income situation is out the box nowadays, and it's never coming back. I hate to be the burden of bad news.
What the French toast is there to think about?
This single household income that used to be a part of society at one point, and I get it because, you know, yes, it was to a degree. It's never coming back. To be honest with you, the companies, corporations, the things like that, the economy itself would not allow that to happen. It would not allow that to happen. You know, why would we, you know, only tax one part of humanity and the other part of humanity is just, you know, not taxable or anything like that? That's the reason why they were so gun-ho to push and make sure that women were able to get into these jobs and careers and stuff like that, because they wanted that extra tax base. And if you want to be honest with yourself, it makes logical sense to actually, you know, pull women up out of the household, which what they used to be in, and actually put them on some jobs and get a extra tax base. It makes perfect sense if you want to think like a industry tycoon.
So what the French toast is there to think about?
Let's just be honest here. So I get where this young man is coming from, and I get what he's talking about, you know, the older men, you know. Hold on here. I want to see what the rest of he has to say. Let's just go here.
Hygiene, cleaning supplies, gas, car maintenance, savings.
Okay, so he did mention a few other things, car maintenance savings, things like that, human supplies. Yeah, so he did go a little bit more deeper, things like that. Shout out to him for that.
So what the French toast is there to
Shout out to this young brother. I will leave the link, to his page on TikTok, stuff like that. But this is just the truth. And I'm telling you guys the truth. They're not going to allow society to go back to a single income household. You know what I'm saying? And let's just be honest about the stats. And we all know the stats. You know what I'm saying? Women spend the most money in America, period. And they're not going to allow women to stop spending all this money. I'm sorry. They're not going to allow that. I think women are statistically, part of the 80-something% of the dynamic of, finances that get spent in society, when they run these commercials every holiday, the beers and, K Jewelers and, things like that. And it gets all these emotions around and, Valentine's Day and you got all these other holidays and stuff like that, Mother's Day. Ain't no, society, they not finna allow that to happen. They need everybody to be working. Now, that's the system is built this way now. It's not going to go back. So that single household income that some of these women out here screaming for, like, I just want to, be in my soft era. I just want to be in my soft era. My soft era. Soft era. What are you talking about? Even women back in the day still did some type of work. Even light years, thousands of years ago, women did some type of work on this planet. I don't get this new age crap where women think that they just supposed to not do any work. Like they just not supposed to do anything. Like, just nothing at all. They're not even supposed to, pick up the linen off their own couches. Like this shit makes no sense.
So what the French toast is there to think about?
Like they're just not supposed to do any damn thing. I mean, Jesus. Wow, man. But this is where we at. Listen, look, people, I'm sorry to tell y'all, we're not finna go back to this one income household that online these people are sitting around here being delusional and thinking that, they just gonna find this 1%er man that's gonna have them sitting at the house picking their nose every goddamn day, shitting and farting on his couch, and it's just gonna be okay. No. But it is what it is, though. Shout out to all my subscribers. Mad love to y'all. If you're new to the channel, please hit that like, share, subscribe button. Make sure you ring that bell to be notified whenever I decide to post things. And like I always say,
and that, my friends, is the bottom line.
That, my friends, is the bottom line.